My spouse confided that he's fallen for my older sister. I'm expecting our first child, and I'm struggling to understand why this is happening. My sister and I endured a tough childhood with a neglectful mother and a cruel stepfather. My sister was my shield and inspiration when the adults in our lives failed us. She often took the brunt of our stepfather's rage when he was intoxicated to spare me. When she moved away for university, she welcomed me into her tiny dorm, letting me sleep in her bed while she took the floor whenever I escaped home. At 16, she invited me to live with her permanently, and we cut ties with our parents. My spouse shares striking similarities with my sister. Both are serene and compassionate. They're highly intelligent, share the same wit, and enjoy the same music, literature, films, and video games. It feels strangely unsettling that I fell for someone so akin to my sister. They've always been close, which meant the world to me since they're my only family. We tied the knot a year ago after 6 years together. I'm now 27 and pregnant with our first daughter. My sister began dating her boyfriend, a 30-year-old man, last year. He meshed well with me and my spouse, though I sensed my spouse wasn't fond of him. When I pressed him about it, he seemed embarrassed, apologized for being obvious, and said he just didn't think the guy was worthy of her. Last night, my sister's boyfriend proposed. We were eating pizza and drinking beers on her balcony when he suddenly knelt and presented a ring. She was shocked, but overjoyed, and accepted. When we returned home, my spouse was slightly drunk. He said he wasn't sleepy, planned to have another beer and watch TV, and urged me to rest. Later, I found him in the living room, sobbing. When I asked what was wrong, he admitted he's been in love with my sister for years, but knew it was inappropriate. He assured me he loves me deeply, and vowed to be a devoted husband and father to our daughter. He slept on the sofa. He's still asleep now. I'm stunned and overwhelmed with anxiety. I'm at a loss for what to do or how to process this. Should I tell my sister? Our bond can never be the same, yet she's my only family and closest friend, and my spouse. What does this mean for us? Is our marriage doomed? In hindsight, I feel naive. His feelings for her seem obvious now. Can I salvage this relationship? And my child? I swore she'd have a better life than mine. I promised her nurturing, loving parents. I can't let her enter a world with fractured parents and new partners in their lives. What can I do? Update. He's awake, and we've talked. He apologized for causing me pain last night. He said he felt a profound loss, like he'd lost something precious, and was grieving. He reaffirmed his love for me and his commitment to making our marriage work for us and our baby. I asked if he loved her more, and he said it's a distinct kind of love. I asked if he'd choose her over me, and he said he'd choose me. I asked if he found her more attractive, and he said I'm traditionally more appealing. I asked if he stayed with me to stay close to her. He said that was unfair, insisting he truly loves me. I asked if he could handle never seeing her again. He teared up but said he'd do anything to preserve our marriage. He mentioned he never had a mother or female role model growing up. He suggested his attachment to her stems from her warm, nurturing nature. I asked if he sees her as a maternal figure or desires her romantically. He avoided answering. I asked if he thinks of her during intimate moments with me. He initially refused to respond, then asked why I was torturing myself. I asked if he'd lose interest in me if she were out of our lives. He seemed to consider this for the first time, then said he chose me and our child. He wants to pursue therapy and counseling, believing our marriage can be saved. Update 2. We had dinner with my sister and her fiancé. My spouse was unusually quiet, barely engaging with my sister or even glancing at her. The meal was pleasant. My sister was too elated with her engagement and upcoming trip to notice anything off. Before leaving, though, my spouse hugged her longer than usual. He said he was thrilled for her and wished her a wonderful trip. Still hugging her, he held her hand, saying he hadn't properly congratulated her the previous night due to being drunk, and congratulated her again. His eyes were misty. Then he hugged her fiancé and congratulated him. He was quiet on the drive home. He told me he loves me when we got back and will do whatever it takes to make this work, but advised me not to decide anything while hurt. We're beginning couples therapy. I want complete honesty from him. He asked me not to share his confession, claiming it was meaningless. I said if I give him a chance, I don't want him near my sister. He asked how that would work since we're always together. He fears she'll suspect something if I tell her, and he's ashamed. I suggested he limit. We were remodeling our basement this summer for a guest room, as our current guest room will become the nursery. He'll stay in the basement, which has separate entrances and a nearly complete mini-kitchen. I've chosen not to tell my sister any of this. This is my struggle in my marriage. I adore my sister, but I'll be candid. I resent her. I'm envious of her, and I think I've always been. She's a far better person than I am. I hate that I never got to repay her, as she's always been flawless and never needed my help. I resent that she isn't as furious as I am about the hardships we faced. I hate how kind she is to me and my spouse. I hate that he sees how superior she is, and I hate that I don't blame him for loving her over me. Update 4. My spouse's confession and its fallout. Hello, I shared about a month ago when my spouse broke down, admitting he's been in love with my sister for years. In brief, we're now divorcing, and he wants no part in our daughter's life. I'll include my original post about his confession after my sister's engagement. Here's what happened next. He promised to love me and do everything to be a faithful husband and father. He begged me not to tell my sister, citing his embarrassment, and we started planning a future in another city. He'd received a better job offer there and felt it was time to move forward. I agreed. We began MC. I told my sister about the move, and she was heartbroken but, as always, didn't protest and supported me. I'm not sure if she found it odd that my spouse stopped spending time with us, but she never asked. She was likely preoccupied with her own joy and life changes. After her trip, she returned and shared her news. She was pregnant, radiant, and explained the sudden engagement. Her fiancé wanted to wed before their baby arrived. She asked me to keep it confidential, likely not meaning from my spouse, but I did anyway, as she was waiting until the second trimester to announce. She broke down, crying about me moving when she needed me most, but later apologized for her selfishness. She understood we wanted the best life for our daughter, including better career opportunities. I wept for a week. A week ago, my spouse was in another city for a job interview, planning to stay there to secure a lease for a new apartment. We figured we'd test the new life before selling our home to buy one there. My sister and her fiancé announced their pregnancy last Tuesday, the day of his interview. Less than an hour later, my spouse called me. He was drunk, crying, and demanded to know if it was true and if I'd known. He called me heartless for withholding it. He said it was unjust. Her fiancé was unworthy, a woodworker compared to my sister, a pediatrician, and he said he needed solitude, then turned off his phone. Friday, he texted that he no longer wanted to be with me or involved with our daughter. He was sorry but couldn't continue. If I released him from fatherly obligations, he'd leave me the house. I tried calling, but his phone was off. I cried all night. Yesterday morning, my sister called, concerned. My spouse had asked to meet her, saying he needed to share something in person that he couldn't say over the phone. He was coming Monday to see her. She asked what was happening, but I was too drained to explain. She and her fiancé are coming over today, and I'll likely need to tell her everything now. Final update. Hi again. I knew I could rely on your encouragement. My sister came over, and I told her everything. I showed her parts of my posts here to explain, as I'm too exhausted to recount every moment of these weeks. I warned her that my spouse might want to meet to confess his feelings, or something darker, so she should avoid him. Her fiancé was visibly furious. My sister just wept, apologized, and tried to comfort me with hugs. I recoiled from her touch. I don't know why. I know she's blameless. I told her I'd warned her the warning and now wanted space, no contact with either of them. I'm considering moving to another city. There's a small town up north where my closest high school friend settled after marriage. It's bigger, better, and more affordable. I could rent a place until the divorce is settled, find work easily, and manage stress while giving birth there. I texted my spouse that I'd told my sister everything and that she and her fiancé were upset. He called an hour later. He apologized for alarming her, saying he only wanted to say goodbye in person but wouldn't pursue her if she's scared. I asked about me and our daughter, but he didn't mention us. He's staying in the new city, starting his job in September. He plans to return briefly to say farewell before relocating permanently. My sister texted later, saying she loves me and would respect my need for distance, but begged me to reconsider moving. She needs me and would do anything to make amends. I didn't respond. I hate how she's so flawless and compassionate. Reworded comments. Comment 1. It's heartbreaking that my spouse's repulsive actions led her to resent her sister, who appears entirely innocent. I hope she gets support to navigate this awful situation without letting it ruin her bond with her sister. Comment 2. This is tough to read after all she's shared about her sister. I get her frustration. She's put her sister on a pedestal, believing she's perfect. In truth, her sister likely shields her from her own struggles. She deserves to keep that connection. Letting it go only empowers her spouse. Comment 3. I'm concerned for her based on her latest remarks. She called her spouse troubled and hurt. No, she craves a fresh start with new faces to escape this pain. She's exhausted, and her sister reminds her of every wound. Now her sister has the love she deserves, expecting a child with that love, surrounded by her fiancé's family and even my spouse's affection, who's just wounded deep down. What does she have? She wants a new life free of this agony. She resents everything about her sister. Comment 4. This is tragic. I hope she doesn't cut ties with her sister. It's bad enough her spouse destroyed their marriage and abandoned their child, causing resentment that leads her to discard her only support system as she faces single motherhood makes it worse. Comment 5. You might be right, but I can't fathom him believing her sister, if she's as wonderful as described, would entertain his feelings for a moment. If he thinks she would, he's delusional. He rejected his own daughter. Why would she want a man who abandons his niece? How does he picture family gatherings? He's completely unhinged. Comment 6. He wanted both women. He chose the younger one with the less demanding career for a family, expecting the older one, whose personality he cherished, to always be around, assuming she'd stay single. Like a historical figure keeping his wife's sibling close. It's sad he's nothing like her sister, who always supported her. I hope she overcomes her envy and raises their children together with her fiancé and a better partner for her. Comment 7. The sisters grew up in a violent home where the younger watched the older endure torment to protect her. It's horrific for the older, but it scars both deeply. This explains why she sees her sister as superior. She survived because of her. No wonder she's idolized. It's a debt she can't repay. Then her spouse manipulates her for years, staying close to the sister he loves for traits forged through her sacrifices. Now, she sees that debt twisted against her and her unborn child by someone meant to cherish her. Her self-worth is shattered. She's been made to feel inferior. Her anger and resentment are her final shields. She's pregnant, alone, and feels like the villain, so she projects to cope. I hope this space helps her heal and reconnect with her human, imperfect sister, not a saint. And may her ex-spouse face endless misfortune. Thank you for reading. If you haven't followed, please do, and activate notifications for more gripping real-life tales.